Alright, this is my first time ever attending the Sundance Film Festival, and I am so excited. You want to see my commute? I'll take you with me. Let's go! Woo! Oh my god, I'm so excited. I have never attended a film festival before, and this is just something so cool for a film fan like me. Alright, we're almost here, and alright, here we go. What is up, everybody? Random Man here, bringing you another video during this current quarantine era. I hope everyone out there is continuing to stay safe and be well during this unpredictable time, as today is a special review, as it is the first review I have ever done coming straight out of a film festival, as I am here bringing you my review for Mayday. Now, the plot of this action drama basically follows Anna, played by Grace Van Patten, a woman who is transported to a dreamlike and dangerous land where she joins an army of girls engaged in a never-ending war along a rugged coast. Going into this movie, or should I say going into the Sundance Film Festival, I was beyond giddy because, as I mentioned, this is the first time I am ever experiencing a movie directly from a film fest, and virtually, given the very strange times that we are currently living in, as I was able to snag a ticket for at least this screening for $15 as they were being offered. Hopefully I can attend the festival one day in person in Utah, as many film fans have for decades now, but given the really weird times that we are living in right now, it still gave me the opportunity virtually to catch at least one film from the fest, and that was Mayday. And it was the film that caught my eye with its concept of the brief synopses that I was able to see for films that had screenings that weren't already sold out by the time I was able to look at all of them, as it seemed like something that would be very ambitious while also having something deeper to say with it. And so with that, that was my choice for my first ever Sundance Film Festival movie that I have seen and am now about to review. As going into the cast and their performances, we have Grace Van Patten as Anna. Now, I've never seen anything that this actress has appeared in prior to this film, but I gotta say that she has quite a presence, and there is something about her that makes for a compelling lead in a movie like this. She is someone, as the movie begins, who we see is working at a wedding, but then gets mysteriously transported to the aforementioned setting of a rugged coast that is constantly at war. And she is somebody who has an arc over the course of the movie where she is hesitant to want to fight, but then is slowly seeing what potential she has within herself in order to become a fighter like the other girls on this island. There's also Mia Goth, who I've recognized in the 2018 film version of Suspiria prior to this film, and she plays Marcia, the most hardened member of this group of girls on this island, who is really good at getting herself all amped up to want to fight and is able to fight. And she is the one who first meets Anna when she suddenly drops down onto this island and is training her and showing her the lay of the land and what have you. Goth, I think, gives a great performance here, like Van Patten does. The other two girls on this island are Soko as Gert, who is another determined fighter, and Havana Rose Liu as B, who is a little bit more shy, kind of like Grace, but of course, she has been on the island longer than Anna before she dropped down there, and she knows her way around as well. There's also Juliette Lewis, who plays a minor supporting role here as a character who is pivotal when she does show up in the movie. So with the performances, I think the main females here are all strong, and this goes right into how they are portrayed within the writing of this film. This movie was written, produced, and directed by Karen Sonore, and this is actually her directorial debut, which also got me interested to see this movie because festivals that we see movies from are places where we get to discover new voices, new filmmakers, and this is one that I decided to take a chance on. And what Sonori does in setting up this idea of a woman who suddenly gets thrust into the atmosphere of war is something that immediately caught my eye, and it slowly sets us into that being staged when the movie begins. As I've already mentioned, our main lead is working at a wedding, and then one thing leads to another in having her get mysteriously transported to this land where she has to become a fighter in a war that looks very reminiscent of World War II, judging by the equipment, the uniforms, and the weapons that are being used here. It is something immediately compelling to me because there is this aura of mystery and intrigue around it that the viewer doesn't know, as much as Anna doesn't know what happened, how did she get here, why is she put into this situation where she has to be a good soldier. And I think that is what Sonori has a good eye for in terms of her as a director for this film, because it gives us a sense of how there is a lot of alienation within our main lead, and then also just the ideas that were presented right from the get-go too. As Anna is working at this wedding as the movie begins, she is not treated the best, and then as she is now put into a situation where she has to literally fight back, it only intensifies within her. It's all interesting in the way it goes about itself, but I think that what the movie falls short on within the writing, from what I was able to gather, is that it is metaphorically muddled in what it is trying to say. There's a lot that can be interpreted from this movie that could be seen as a commentary on misogyny, female empowerment, or just learning to fend for yourself in general. And I think that while it is all well-intentioned and well-crafted in the setup, in the execution, I didn't think that it was entirely there for the ideas to mesh together. For example, most of the male characters that we do see in this movie are not likable or not portrayed as such. I certainly understood that the movie was trying to go for that, and even with it and other ideas that were shown, I didn't think enough was done with them to be pushed beyond what it was initially trying to say, especially for this movie running at just about 100 minutes in total, and there is a lot of time dedicated to also giving us a sense of the scope and scale of this movie, which, speaking of that brings us into some of the technical elements of this film. And I think that from what it does with the limited budget that it does have, or I assume it had while being shot, this movie is a stunning one all around. The cinematography was done by Sam Levy, who has previously done the cinematography for films from Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, such as Lady Bird. And here, this movie was actually shot in Croatia, and it is a beautiful sight to see all around. We get a lot of overhead shots of the island that these girls are on, and even shots of waves, and even the forest that's in between on the island. It is something to behold for sure. I also have to give big props to the original score here by Colin Stetson, who has previously composed films such as Hereditary, and that had a chilling feel and vibe with it all around, given that it is a horror movie. But in Mayday, I think his score here gives us a lot of vibes of uncertainty and intensity with it, given the instruments that are used, some electronically, I heard some strings in there. It just got me further engrossed into the movie, and I think that even with the writing, I feel, falling short of what it's trying to accomplish and further go into, I think that with what is trying to be said and done here, and how it is all set up, there is something for people to latch onto if this movie does get an audience, a wider audience, I should say, to be able to see it. This is one of the movies that is competing for the Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. By the time this review will have gone up, the winners will have been announced for the awards presented at Sundance, and even with all of that, and me looking forward to other movies that have premiered at this festival this year, I think that Karen Sonori as a filmmaker has a voice within her and has projected a lot of that into her directorial debut with Mayday. I am certainly curious and looking forward to what she does next after this feature, because there's a lot of potential that she has shown off within this feature, also applying to our lead, Grace Van Patten, and everyone else involved here, because I think there is something there. Even if it didn't completely stick the landing with me, there's a lot of ambition that is to be admired here. I will almost always give a movie that I see credit where credit is due there, even if it is not going to be for everyone. I already see a bunch of mixed reviews for this movie, and I do think that it will strike a chord with some, but for others it will come off in the wrong way. But whenever this film does become wider in availability for people to watch, I cautiously recommend it. My final verdict for Mayday is 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Mayday, social media links in the description, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.